He starts this whole thing, and this guy hates Trump, right? He was forced to resign because he was ranting about Trump on his social media. You can see how these pieces are spidered out from here. All the other states got it, right? This is the initial cabal. This guy's planting the seed. He's special agent in charge, Washington. So Allison says, yep, this looks good to me. Add her to the list. This looks great, Tim. Great work. Alternate electors. Kash Patel, Trump's nominee to be the FBI director. And during Kash Patel's confirmation hearings, Chuck Grassley revealed some emails about this operation called Arctic Frost that was spearheaded by a known anti-Trump FBI agent. Chuck Grassley says the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman and permanent subcommittee are now officially releasing legally protected whistleblower disclosures that prove the genesis of the federal election interference case brought against President Trump. All of it conducted by an anti-Trump FBI agent who acted outside of protocol. Internal FBI emails and predicating documents that Chuck Grassley got and released jointly by two senators show that this FBI agent called Timothy Thibault, a former FBI assistant special agent in charge who was forced to retire by Chuck Grassley after Grassley exposed his anti-Trump bias, he authored the initial language for what ultimately became Jack Smith's federal case against President Trump about the J6 case. See that? This FBI agent who hated Trump worked the case and handed the whole thing off to Jack. Records show that Thibault essentially opened and approved his own investigation at the FBI after all this Russian collusion crap was over and they said they made reforms to the FBI. The FBI titled the ensuing investigation, called it Arctic Frost. Records further reveal that this guy, Richard Pilger, an official at the DOJ's Public Integrity Section, reviewed and approved the FBI's Arctic Frost investigation. So a corrupt FBI agent sends it over to a corrupt DOJ official and they rub each other's backs, authorizing the DOJ to move forward with a full field criminal and grand jury investigation, and it transformed into the Trump electors case. Totally corrupt. Grassley published a 2021 report that raised concerns about this. Grassley in 2022 additionally questioned Thibault's role at the FBI, writing, I remain very concerned that the political bias by a select group of DOJ people and FBI people has infected the Justice Department and the FBI's usual process and procedure to open and pursue high-profile and politically charged investigations. Grassley and Ron Johnson in November called on Jack Smith to preserve all these records related to this investigation. And we heard Grassley run through a little bit of this at the hearing of Kash Patel, and he gave us a quick summary telling us that in my hands are these FBI emails. And the first one is an email that Thibault sent to a subordinate agent on February 14th. Exhibit 1. Thibault sends this to a subordinate agent, signed by Timothy, special agent in charge, Northern Virginia, Washington field office. Okay, working there in DC. Hey, Michelle, here is a draft opening language we discussed. If you decide to work the case, and this is to Michelle, Washington at FBI. Please reach out to Jonathan Crabb if you require additional info. You can begin adding to the draft as needed. Would consider this a sim. Seek CDC guidance to determine if the AG Barr memo applies. We'll need to discuss the title and the subject. I think at a minimum would have the Trump campaign and unsubs in the title for what to call this. Thanks, Timothy. Total editing time, 825 minutes, the metadata, 23 kilobytes. You can see drafted, looks like last modified February 9th, 2022, last modified and authored by Timothy Thibault. Here's his synopsis. Okay, so he writes this. This is his memo. He starts this whole thing, and this guy hates Trump, right? He was forced to resign because he was ranting about Trump on his social media. So then he says, okay, here's this. This full investigation is predicated on information subjects conspired to provide knowingly false statements to the U.S. government to corrupt the election. This is an FBI agent just writing his little stupid report. The Electoral College refers to how the United States elects the president. In this process, they elect the president, goes to NARA, and then from NARA, the Electoral College, they review it, the certificates of ascertainment. It says, here's the code, shall be appointed, the electors meet, originals are shown. Okay, we've gone through a lot of this here, actually. We spent a lot of time on this because we read through the Congressional Research Service documents and more. Now, our take was, rather, the vice president does have some discretionary power in that proceeding, right? And there's examples of that, like the Hawaii certificates that came back during, I think, Nixon Kennedy. Now, in December 2020, as in the prior years, the electors had certain responsibilities with respect to 6 duplicate originals. The government gave them to them, right? So this is this guy's thesis. In addition to this, Arizona, Michigan, then they pawn this off to Big Fanny and to Chris Mays here in Arizona and Michigan, right? This is the guy who originated all of this. Michigan charged people people, Georgia charged people, Arizona charged people. So he's organizing it. Oh, we're going to get him on false document charges. All these states are operating and providing an alternate slate, which is lawful so that you can etch in, right? It's like you have to lodge your complaint in order for it to count. You have to file your charges, your civil complaint against the opposing party before the statute of limitations expires so you can preserve your claim. It's a concept in the law that's not foreign at all. Very common. Now, a review of fraudulent certificates say that they were substantially similar, duly elected, individuals here, all certified, certain groups. Okay, so this is like his little police report kind of a thing. Federal violations, false statements, mail fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy, corrupt obstruction, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Here's his plan. Grand jury subpoenas, legal process. We're going to get open source materials. We're going to conduct witness interviews. We're going to go to the archivist, relevant district courts, and more. Request all the USPS stuff. And right, this is little letter launching the whole thing. 2/14/2022, before the indictments came down. Grassley says. The second email is a February 2022 email from Thibault to John Crabb, a prosecutor in the United States Attorney's Office for DC. And here's what he said in email 2. He says, hey, John Crabb, copies a bunch of other FBI people. And hopefully somebody from Kash Patel's office is listening to this because these people's names are important. Kirk Spielmaker, Frank D'Amico, Michelle Ball, A. Wayne, Jamie Rosalind Garman, this person's redacted, Ronald Farnsworth, all at the FBI, all copied on lying hack Timothy Thibault's email to John Crabb. He just implicated them. Great. Hey, John, after reviewing the draft opening of a potential case to defraud and obstruction, I had a discussion with the case team, and we believe there to be predication to include Trump as a predicated subject, along with the electors, the campaign actors who have yet to be identified. As your office is seeking Attorney General approval for the FBI to open the case up, we of course owe it to the DOJ EM to provide clarity as to the FBI's titled subjects to avoid confusion, surprises, etc. As such, I've requested the case team send me a list of the predicated subjects today so I may pass to you. You may expect this list by the end of the day. One caveat, as you're aware, there are 64 electors that would also have to be titled as subjects. And this is in February, by the way, right? So it's been over a year and a month since J6. Some of the electors will be state and local elected officials. Biden's already been in office for a year. Currently, we have not identified all the public officials, so the list I'll be forwarding to you only contains the names. Our intel cadre are in the process of developing the information on each of the electors, but this will take another day or so. Timothy Thibault, Trump-hating FBI individual who was forced to retire, resign, whatever happened, and copying all these other people who presumably are working on this, and they're all working to just add Trump. You can see how these pieces are spidered out from here. All the other states got it, right? This is the initial cabal. This guy's planting the seed. He's special agent in charge, Washington. So then we go to email 3. Third email is from February. Email from Thibault to John Crabb noting that Garland and Wray will be sought to open the case. They're going to get permission from these two people. Tim says, hey, John, by the way of an update on the status of our case opening, I will be reviewing the draft opening this morning. One outstanding item we will need has been communicated to Thomas by our case agents. That is, FBI HQ EM and our CDC have opined the Barr memo and extension applies. Now, as such, we've requested your office obtain written approval of the AG through the deputy AG. So Barr says we need approval for this. As soon as we have this, I believe our EC will be ready to be approved at my level, and we will be seeking approval at the director level. Please let me know if you have any questions or want to chat this morning. He responds, can you send me the Barr memo? He's like, what are you talking about? They send him the Barr memo. I don't know what the memo says, but it's probably something like, if you're going to open a high-level investigation into somebody, you got to get approval through the deputy AG up to the main AG. What? We have to go up to Attorney General Garland? Can you send that to me? All right, so he gets, I'm sure, it sent to him. Fourth email is then an email from Thibault's subordinate agents saying they added Trump and others as criminal subjects, right? Thibault then responds and says, oh, perfect. So this is what that looks like. Hey, Tim, attached is a list of the electors. Now, in addition, we're also adding Donald J. Trump President Inc., John Eastman, Boris Epstein, and Rudy Giuliani in the case opening. Thank you. Okay, so they added them all to the header and charged them all. Tim says, perfect. Copies everybody else on it. February 25th, 2022. Just creating the whole thing. So then, email number 5. The fifth email is in March. We fast forward a month. Email from Thibault, emailing a version of an investigative opening for approval. This did not include President Trump as a criminal subject. Wonder why that is. Here's what that says. Timothy. Oh, look, it's Stephen Michael D'Antuono. That was the guy who had no idea about anything related to January 6th. So they say, sir, please find a copy of the Arctic Frost opening. And why did they name it Arctic Frost? Where'd that come from? The version has the concurrence of FBI HQ. Attachments are available on Red. Please let me know if you have any questions. Very respectfully, Tim. So in this, apparently Trump is not listed. So this is a 15-pager. And again, he's giving us his review. Let's see if Trump is in here. Yeah, each of the forums purported to cast their stuff for Trump. All the alternate electors had Trump, the Trump campaign. According to numerous open source articles like the Washington Post, Eastman was involved in drafting a J6 memo. By January 6, Eastman emailed Jacob, I implore you to consider more minor violation, federal violations. Subjects of the investigation include members of the Trump campaign, both identified and yet to be identified. Subjects were found to be under the subject below. Let's see. Trump Incorporated, John Eastman, Boris Epstein, Rudy, and electors. So again, the plan's getting bigger. He just launched the original plan. We saw that in document 1. A month later goes by. He's got all these people working on it. Now they're naming names. So now this is back in March 22nd. So 1 month later, you see how much it expands. The initial draft got much bigger in size. Then the 6th email is an email from Thibault approving the opening of Arctic Frost. So that is here. And here's what this looks like. Several emails in this chain. Now we're in April. From Jamie Rosalind Garman, FBI, Washington Field Office. She was copied on Thimo's CC line. Arctic Frost opening pending your signature. Hey, good morning, Allison. Just a heads up that the SSA signed Arctic Frost opening this morning. It should be pending your signature now. Please let us know if you need anything further. Thanks, Jamie. Allison responds. She's Chief Division Counsel. She's a lawyer for Washington. Says, done. Tim, over to you. I'll let the boss know it's on the way. Thanks all, Allison. So Allison says, yep, this looks good to me. Add her to the list. This looks great, Tim. Great work. Alternate electors. Okay. All these people are just, yep, signed it. Add these people too. Danielle Machoco. And of course, we got the others on there. Allison Lauder. She signs it, says, over to Tim, over to you. Tim says, copy, we'll approve now. Boom. Arctic Frost case gets opened. Looks like April 11th, 2022. All these FBI nuts are now going after Trump, and the case is going to get handed off to Jack Smith. The 7th email is an April 13th email from FBI agent Thibault stating the FBI deputy director also approved it as well. Here's 7, saying, hey, DD just signed. Guess what? Case is open. Thanks all, Allison, chief lawyer for the FBI, saying, yep, DD just signed the case, so now it's open, ready to go. Here was the 8th email. On that same date, had Thibault emailing John Crabb that the elector case was approved. Then Crabb says, thanks a lot. Let's talk next week. Tim says, hey, guess what? Elector case was approved this morning. Thanks a lot. Let's talk next week. John Crabb. Tim says, definitely. We're going to go after Trump. 9th email. Between March 22 and April 13th, other versions of the document opening, the investigation existed because a 9th email shows that the FBI General Counsel's office made edits on March 25th. March 25th here says Ronald Farnsworth. Hey, Tim, hope you're well. PCU is going to send over the draft EC with some edits today made by OGC. So someone else is manipulating the report, right? The initial report has Trump, then they take Trump out. Question is, when does Trump come back? Is Trump in it right now? Coyle spoke with your special agent in charge, and she is aware. Give me a call if you have any questions. If you have any time Monday, I'll hit you up on Red Skype, reference a possible new case. Thanks, Tim. Have a great weekend. Tim says, copy. We'll take a look. Chat Monday on 3/25. That's exhibit 9. So the last exhibit from Grassley, he says, was Trump still removed as an investigative subject at this time? If so, which Justice Department and FBI officials other than Jack Smith later added him for prosecution? We don't know. I expect the production of all records on this matter to be produced to better understand the full fact pattern on whether other records exist. Thibault, remember, he was very upset and directly posted on his LinkedIn. He liked Washington Post pieces, and it's been a problem. Grassley's been on this guy for a while, as you can see, since 2022. That was a prior letter he sent. So interesting there to have Timothy Thibault, the guy who had to resign because he hated Trump so much and was posting all over it on social media, is now creating the case. And the real question is, did Jack Smith add Trump in there, or did one of these other people add Trump back in there after they had him out? And how did this document evolve? Chuck Grassley is going to keep his eye on it, and we'll be following as well.